Yep.
There's three different ways I think that people can see the world. They see the world in versus a freedom versus tyranny, which is a libertarian kind of view, and that's something I think, George, you probably resonate quite strongly with. You want to maximize freedom,
but it's kind of but right? Also I think it's like kind of like a now as I'm getting more into political science, I'm starting to realize maybe it's just like a fantasy.
Okay, yeah, but like just to break it down, so there's if we think a lot of people think about it like a left-right spectrum, and I'd encourage you not to think about it like a left-right spectrum.
Yeah.
Think about it like a triangle. So you have progressive, which sees the world in oppressor versus oppressee. So they're always trying to look and find people who are being oppressed and who's doing the oppressing. That's how they see the world generally.
Yeah.
Libertarians look at the world in a freedom versus tyranny. Is a certain action going to give me more freedom or less freedom? And conservatism looks at the world in civilization versus barbarism. So the Liberal Party sits down in the melange between conservative and libertarian views, which is why there's a lot of tension potentially in the party. There's a lot of debate internally. And the Labour Party sit in the top half of the triangle in oppressor versus oppressee. So I was always raised in a conservative libertarian household.
Okay, interesting.
Sorry, long answer, but there you go.
Well, I think we've done our introductions and we've talked a little bit about how Henry is involved in politics and even his side of how he views politics. Our young guest here, Fire, asked us a question about meth out of Murray Bridge. Is that even a possibility? How's that even possible to help these rural... Obviously, it's the rural...
Well, they're cooking meth in, like, houses. So I was part of the CFS, and the Burnside CFS unit was trained in hazmat, and so I've heard some never being deployed to a meth lab, but they're cooking in houses using different materials that are somewhat available, and so it's extremely difficult unless you're absolutely going to like normal medications and all of those supplies. So it could be happening in a house near you, and that's a real problem. So it's about the supply of these types of drugs. I think there's a lot of debate about legalizing drugs and the government taking complete control over it, taxing it, so that at least then you can access people who are users, and so that people aren't being taken advantage of, and that stops a crime cycle, and you can actually educate people. So one argument would be to just criminalize it, ban everyone from doing it, have harsher and harsher penalties. Now, it doesn't matter how harsh a penalty is, it only matters what the minimum is, because a lot of people, the courts will generally just impose the minimum sentence in many cases. They just go for the bare minimum, which is basically nothing. You might have a 2-year incarceration period, and you're on a 2-week good behaviour bond. So that's certainly a problem. So you need minimum penalties for these types of things. But one argument could be that government takes over and then manages it.
Okay. Quickly, also just to go into...
That's a hard question.
Yeah.
That's a hard question,
if you have any more